ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्ण पाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. With the grace of our Guru Parampara and our beloved Paramapuja Sadyojata Shankarashrama Swamiji, we completed a very, very important work of Bhagwan Shankaracharya called as Aparokshanubhuti. In the last about 25 weeks, we completed that. And if you have observed, this particular text which we took was talking about the basics of Upanishadic teaching. The basics that are taught, the central teaching of the Shastra or Vedanta in the form of Brahma Satyam, Jaganmitya, Jivo, Brahmaiva Naparaha. But then the text talked about it in such a way that it was put into groups of verses which talked about first Atma Anatma Viveka, and then it talked about the very Swarupam of Atma, and then it talked about how the Swarupam of Ishvara, then it talked about what is the meaning of moksha, what is this jnana sadhana in the form of especially Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. And a lot of emphasis was given by Bhagwan Shankaracharya on Nididhyasana. And then, of course, the phalam of moksha. So it was a prakarana grantha. It was a typical prakarana grantha. And if you have observed in the last 4.5 years, it's almost going to be 5 years in the next 2 months since we started this weekly Wednesday Vedanta sessions. And if you have observed, if you remember, we started with Bhagavad Gita as the basic foundation of our Vedanta study. Of course, before that, we had already dealt with Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, and it is there on our ebook section also for any further clarification and reference. And then we took up again a basic Vedantic text, Vivek Chudamani. And then we went to certain Upanishads. We took up Kathopanishad. After Kathopanishad, we came back to the basics in the form of Bhagwan Shankaracharya's Advaita Para shlokas. And then we took another Upanishad, Mundakopanishad. So if you see, the way we have been taking these texts is, we take a Prakarana Grantha, then an Upanishad, then a Prakarana Grantha, and then again an Upanishad. This has been a pattern because between the two Upanishads, when we take a Prakarana Grantha, it is almost like a revision for us. We revise whatever has been talked about earlier. We talk about it, we remember it, we do a kind of a nididhyasana over it. So that is what actually is the purpose of spacing these texts like this. So now we are again going to go back to another Upanishad called as Kaivalya Upanishad. On the, whatever you can say, on the inspiration by Paramapuji Sadyojat Swamiji, he told me to continue with Kaivalya Upanishad after completing Aparokshanubhuti. So, with the blessings of our Swamiji, I'm going to start the Upanishad called as the Kaivalya Upanishad, before which, again, I'm going to give a very, very basic summary or introduction to an Upanishad, which we always do. Before any Upanishad is started, we always give a basic general introduction to the Upanishads, to our Shastra, how the Shastra, our scriptures, how they are presented to a person, how they are presented to a mumukshu. So the Vedas are our primary source of knowledge. They are the primary or the first source of knowledge. And the Vedas are not the product of any human intellect. The Vedas are what was brought about at the time of the origin or the creation of universe. Every time the creation starts, the Vedas are also a part of this creation which come out of this Chaturmukha Brahma. Therefore, along with the Srishti, the Vedas, which were already there in the previous Srishti also, they are also given back to the next Srishti also. So the Vedas are also Nitya. Nitya means what? They are coming pravahika nityatvam, pravaha, like it just flows into the next particular creation. And these Vedas are not the product of anybody, any human intellect created it. It has come with Bhagwan Ishvara has sent or given this knowledge, literally has percolated this knowledge through the Chaturmukha Brahma at the time of the creation of this universe. That is why there is a verse which we chant before we start any of this Brahma Sutra Parayana, etc. Yo Brahmanam Vidadati Puram, Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai, Tam Hadeva Matma Buddhi Prakasham, Mumukshurvai Sharanam Aham Prapadye. That knowledge which was given by Ishvara, by Brahman, from Brahman, which came directly to Chaturmukha Brahman, the originator, the creator of every Srishti, and this knowledge came along and it was passed on to the others in the form of the Guru Shishya Parampara. Bhagwan Vyasacharya definitely, divided these huge body of knowledge of mantras into 4 Vedas. He only did the compending and dividing them. But Bhagwan Vyasacharya is not the author of the Vedas. Nobody is the author of the Vedas. Ishvara, Lord, is the author of the Vedas. And the Vedas have, as you know, 2 sections. The first section, which deals with fulfillment of the common desires of a jiva, human jiva. Naturally, the scriptures are meant for humans. They are not meant for animals. They are meant for humans. And these human jivas, initially an ajnani jiva, who is not aware of what he himself is, what the universe is, what is it that he is seeing around him or her, what is the nature of this transaction that is happening between him and the other jivas and the jagat? What is that principle which is actually managing, controlling this whole thing? When nothing is known, when an ajnani, when a jiva is actually only functioning as an individual, as an individual at the individual levels, this jiva has certain basic needs which are in the form of basic human pursuits. These human pursuits, or purusharthas as they are known in our scripture, are three in number: artha, kama, and dharma. Artha means having a situation around me, resources around me which make me comfortable. So I go after them. Kama, I have certain desires. I want to fulfill the material desires that can be fulfilled. Then I also have the desires as a jiva, as an Ajnani jiva, to amass, to accumulate, to gather some kind of a merit or punya by which I want to assure that at the end of this life, when this body falls, I, this traveling jiva, will continue to go to better lokas. So, an Ajnani or an ignorant person has basically three kinds of desires called as Putrayeshana, Vittayeshana, and Lokaishana. Putrayeshana, Vittayeshana, Lokaishana. Lokaishana means I want to reach places. After death, I want to go to a good place. I want to settle in a good loka. Even when I'm here, I want to be in a good place. Lokaishana, nothing wrong. Then I have got Putrayeshana. I want to propagate, my lineage, so that my lineage continues to live, and I feel I'm going to live through that lineage, because I don't want to feel that I'm going to go away. So I want to have children, I want to have grandchildren, and perpetuate my lineage, putreshana. And also I feel that having children and grandchildren, they are going to do certain things so that I, as a traveling jiva, after death can attain some merits there. Then Vitteshana. I need resources. I need resources for fulfilling my desires for Kama Purushartha. I need resources for my security, for my Artha also, security also. I need, Vitta, money. I need money or Vitta or resources to do various karmas, various kinds of yajnas and other things, so that I gather punya. I need Vitta to do dana, dharma, yajnas, whatever it is. I need Vitta in the form of resources, whatever it is. Money, you can take money as a resource, whatever it is, to see that I can accrue some, do some good deeds by sharing my wealth or my resources and get some kind of a merit or punya accumulated to me, so that this life also and my later lives also are comfortable. And Veda Purva, or what is called as the Karma Kanda, the bigger portion of the Vedas, deals with this basic human purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama purusharthas. And how do they deal with it? They come to your help and say, okay, right now you have the desire of putreshana, vitteshana, lokeshana, dharma, artha, kama purusharthas are right now your priority. But let them be done properly, dharmically, in such a way that you definitely attain what you want. And I will help you the way the Purva says. And therefore, there are hundreds, thousands of sadhanas or means to attain thousands of goals or sadhyas. And what are these goals? These are material goals. Material goals in the form of the three purusharthas, material goals in the form of accumulation of material punya, where my vittaishana, lokaishana, putreshana, etc. are fulfilled. And the Veda Purva deals with what kind of sadhanas are these? These sadhanas are mainly karmas. Karmas means things to be done. Kayikataya, kayika karma, vachika karmas, and manasa karmas. Kayika karma in the form of doing certain worships and pujas and yajnas, etc. Vachika karmas in the form of parayana, in the form of chanting, in the form of Veda chanting, vachika karmas. Then manasa karma in the form of upasana, in the form of worship of various deities, different form of deities. Rigveda may deal with worship of the natural deities, those deities which are responsible for maintaining the balance and the harmony in the universe, like Indra Deva, Agni Deva, Vayu Deva, element, though the Adhidevatas of various elements, that it deals with that. Those Rigveda mantras deal with basically worshipping the natural deities, that is, those which are responsible for maintaining the harmony in the universe. Then we have the other Vedas where there are various other entities to which we offer our, you know, Kayika, Vachika, Manasa karmas in the form of various kinds of karmas and upasanas. And we get the reasonable, appropriate results for that if we have done it properly. But one thing we have to understand that Veda Purva itself tells us later that whatever karma I am doing, Kayika, Vachika, or Manasa karma, is limited. It is limited. It is anityam. Therefore, what is the phalam that I get? That is also anityam. It is alpam. I can't keep on, I can do one particular yajna the way it is told. It is over after some time. I can't be doing one yajna lifelong, isn't it? Because I have many goals to achieve and I'm going to follow many means. So for every sadhana, there is a sadhya. I want a putra, I do a putra kameshti yaga or yajna and, fulfill my desire for progeny. So a limited karma with a limited result. So all the karmas that I do as directed by the Veda Purva, however elaborate they may be, however sacred they may be, they are nothing but temporary. And anitya karma gives rise to anitya karma phala. A limited karma gives rise to a limited karma phala. And therefore, in Veda Purva, I have to be constantly running after various means to attain various ends. A time comes when we realize that after so many lives of doing this Veda Purva karmas, nothing wrong. We have to do it, yes. What have I gained in the form of, have I gained that happiness, peace, security, satisfaction that I'm looking for? No, because the very acquisition of punya, the very acquisition of the phalam of my karma is associated with dukkha. It is very short lived, so when it is over, it is again associated with dukkha. So, what is the ultimate happiness or the security or peace that I am getting out of these karmas, karma phalas that have accrued? So, sometime or the other, a serious seeker of this ananda or desire to be free from all this thinks, I may do any number of karmas, but the karma being limited, the karma phalas are also limited. But is there something which is unlimited? Is there something which doesn't get lost? Is there something beyond the sadhana sadhya, knowing which, understanding which, I am able to forever get out of this constant desire of becoming, wanting? Is there any escape from this for me? Is there any possibility of me to find that imperishable, permanent Purnatvam or Ananda in which I am no longer a wanting person? I'm no longer a constantly desiring person. So, if my search is for happiness, all the time for Ananda, and I find that whatever I get out of Veda Purvas following different sadhana sadhyas and getting some happiness for some time, before I open my eyes and see the karma phala is so limited that it is gone, all that I achieved and accrued, and before I have time to realize that I am happy, it is gone. Is there something which is beyond this? That is why we saw in Mundakopanishad, Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmanaha nirvedamayat nasti akrita kritena. Tad vijnanartham sa gurumeva abhigachet samitpani shrotriyam brahmanishtam. So Pariksha lokan, after having seen the limitation of the sadhana sadhya, seeing the impermanent nature, anityatvam of the means and ends in this particular field, then I look for something which is lasting. And what is it that which is lasting, which gives me that lasting peace? I find myself in this lasting peace and happiness, so that I stop running after these limited means and ends. Is there something? Is there something like that? I've heard. I have heard that there is something, knowing which, understanding which, I'm able to get out of this constant desire for wanting more and becoming something else. And then the Upanishad, our scriptures say, yes, there is something. And then for this, no doing is going to help you. Doing is limited. So what you get as a result of your doing is also limited. But then you should know that there is something which is nityam, which is imperishable, that which is all the time there, unlimited, but it is not got by doing. It is something which is known by knowing. The doing of Veda Purva, karmas and upasanas, at the most will give you the chitta shuddhi and the chitta naishchalyam. I won't explain these words because we have seen them so often in the last 4 years. It will give me enough of a mental preparation in the form of chitta shuddhi, chitta naishchalyam, to know that imperishable thing as to what is that. Do I have to look for it elsewhere? Where is it found? Is it something other than me? Is it different from me? Is there such a thing like a completeness or purnatvam? Is there something like that because of which I will find that I am no longer a limited person? And the Vedas say, yes, there is this imperishable, immortal, nitya vastu. And this nitya vastu is not something that is got as an object. It is not something that you can acquire out of doing anything. It is something which has to be known. Okay? That's why it is said, Anityam praptam. Nityam is not praptam. Okay? That is, Anityam is praptavyam. Nityam is jnatavyam. Anityam means what? That which is limited has to be got as an object. Nityam, nitya vastu is what? That which is all the time there, that purnatvam from which I never feel separated. What is that? That is to be known, jnatavyam. Nityam jnatavyam, anityam praptavyam. So after having done enough of prapti, three purusharthas, I have to become a moksha purusharthi. What should I do? I have to become a moksha purusharthi. I have to choose moksha as my goal. And what is it that I have to do? Is moksha really a goal? Moksha is knowing that thing by which, that vastu or that unknown thing by which I understand that I no longer have to go after limited means and ends. This knowing this nitya vastu, jnatavyam, that which is to be known. We have seen in the 13th chapter what is jnanam, what is jneyam, isn't it? What is prakriti, what is purusha, which Arjuna asks Lord Krishna, and Bhagavan Krishna answers, what is jneyam? There is only one thing to be known which is worth knowing. What is it? Brahman or Atma, which is my reality, that which I am, that which is not an object of perception, that which is not an object which can be brought or got or acquired or achieved by any kind of karma. That Brahman or Atma is to be known. Jnatavyam yeva. To be known as what? I have to know that this Brahman, this Atma, which is the imperishable, that which is Nityam, that which is immortal, is none other than me. I have to know that that is my very Swarupam. Anandam is my very Swarupam. Purnatvam is my very Swarupam. If that is so, then why am I running after all these small things for small happinesses? Why, if my Swarupam is Ananda, if I am the very Ananda Swarupa, Purnatva Swarupa, why is it that I am so unhappy now? This is the question that is asked by most of the Vedanta students. Hey Guru, you tell me you are the Ananda Swarupa Atma, but I am so miserable. I feel so limited. I am so perishable. How can I be that Purnatvam, that total Purnatvam Asanga Atma? How can I be that? That is what is taught by Vedanta. The second part of Vedas is Vedanta, which talks to me, which tells me, it takes me through a process of Jnana Yoga called as Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. And through the mantras of Vedanta, which are there in the form of the Upanishads in all the four Vedas. Upanishads are also called as Vedanta because they are the Veda Shiraha. They are actually the most important part of Vedas. Veda Purva is a preparatory step. Even Veda Purva says, initially you may use me to fulfill your basic material desires. But understand, use me, use my whatever I'm telling you, not for material gains after some time, after you have fulfilled your basic desires. Use me, the karma and upasana, for preparing yourself for that Veda Shiraha or for the Upanishads. When Upanishads talk to me about my reality, who am I? Am I a jiva? What is the real nature of this jiva? Am I an individual different from others? What is my reality? Who am I? Is the world that I'm seeing around me, is that real or not? What is it that is underneath this world, under this variety that I see? What is the reality of that world? Is there something which is controlling, managing both me and the Jagat? Because I see an order here. There is some order here by which the Jagat is managed, I am managed, other jivas are managed. I can see that it's not a chaotic universe. There is an order. If there is an order there, what is it that is taking care of this order? Is there something? Is there some intelligence? Is there some law? Is there something which is managing this jiva and jagat and maintaining an order, which we call Ishvara? Ishvara. So, what is this jiva? What is this jagat? What is this Ishvara? And Vedanta says that right now you are ignorant. What is my ignorance? What is my avidya? I do not know who I am. I take myself to be nothing other than this body. I take myself to be a different individual, different from everybody else. The whole world is there for me to compete with. The whole world of other individuals and other things are there for me to conquer. Because I'm always feeling threatened by others, threatened by other jivas, threatened by the universe, threatened by Ishvara. Okay, so I have to protect myself. I have to be always in an attacking mode. So it is this ignorance because you don't know who you are. Vedanta says avidya, basic means ignorance. What it calls as the mula avidya, the basic ignorance, the most fundamental seed of ignorance is that with which we are born. We means what? With which this body is born. For lives and lives, we are the victims of this mula avidya, because of which we do not realize the reality of ourselves and the Jagat and Ishvara. And the Upanishads say this non-understanding of what you are, misunderstanding of what you are, misunderstanding what the Jagat is, misunderstanding what Ishvara is the reason for your samsara. Not knowing the truth of yourself and what you are seeing around you, misunderstanding yourself and the world around you, this is the reason for samsara and nothing else. Therefore, Vedanta says, I will help you. How will I help you? Number one, you have to be prepared to come to this knowledge. You have to have a purushartha nishchaya that whatever I have achieved all this time has been only limited material gains. And I want to know that in which, knowing which, I will be free from this sorrow, free from my samsara. What is samsara? Sukha dukkha. Constantly changing sukha dukkha, coming back again and again. This is samsara. That is what Narada asked Sanat Kumara. Aham shochami, he says, Narada, Devarishi. I'm in sorrow. But I have heard, a Guru, that Brahmavit, Atmavit, Shokam Tarati. The one who knows the truth of oneself goes beyond this shoka. Hey Guru, please teach me that. Please teach me that Brahman or Atma, knowing which I'm going to go beyond this, sorrow of mine. Narada has to say that. Just imagine. So, what about us? What about people like us? Isn't it? So, what is Vedanta? Vedanta is that which makes me understand through various processes of teaching, various prakriyas, different kinds of modalities of teaching. This Vedanta helps me to understand the temporary and empirical nature of what I think I am, and guides me to see myself in reality as to what really I am. Vedanta guides me to see the Jagat as it is, tells me how to look at the Jagat and see the truth of it. Similarly, how to look at Ishvara and see the truth of Ishvara. So, with a way of teaching in the form of Upanishads, Guru Mukhena Shastra Adhyayanam, Guru Mukhena Shastra Shravanam. And who are these gurus? They are Sampradayavit gurus, the ones who have learned how to communicate this very, very, very subtle topic of oneself, because I, the subject, am not available for objectification. What is my truth is not known to me. What is known to me as the body mind cells complex is not the reality. What I see as the Jagat is not the reality. What is the reality of Jagat? I do not see. It is not an object of my perception. What is Ishvara? Whatever I worship as my deity, Devata, Ishta Devata, okay, I may, yes, as a Samashti, I worship, nothing wrong. But do I know what is the reality of the Ishvara also? No. So, what does Vedanta do? Vedanta, as Upanishads, in a certain way of teaching, makes me see the reality of myself, Jagat, and Ishvara by removing the ignorance and confusion. The confusion and the mistake is removed. My mistaken identity with this body, mind, sense complex is removed. My mistaken identity with the name and form universe is removed. When my ignorance is gone, what I understand is by knowing, not by doing. Therefore, Veda Purva is a matter of doing. Vedanta is a matter of knowing. And for this knowing, there should be adhikaritva. For knowing this subtle Brahman, there should be adhikaritva. Adhikaritva means what? The capacity to know what is being taught by the Upanishads. And for that, Veda Purva as my stepping stone is very, very important. I have to do the karmas and the upasanas that are meant for me to be done according to my, varna and ashrama. I have to bring maturity of mind by following the value systems talked about in Bhagavad Gita. I have to prepare this mind, literally like preparing a field for sowing the seed. And when I become a sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari, again we have already discussed about this, there is no need to talk about this. This is the preparation. And what makes me a sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari? Following the Veda Purva with the attitude of Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga, by which I have Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Naishchalyam, which makes me a sadhana chatushtaya adhikari, a jnana yogya. Jnana yoga, yogyata prapti. It gives me a jnana yogyata prapti. Otherwise, it is like sowing a seed in an unprepared land, on unprepared earth, where the weeds are not removed, rocks are not removed, the soil is not prepared. I simply sow a seed, don't water it, and then expect the, knowledge or the this thing of ankuram of knowledge to bloom in my intellect. No, it is not possible. So, a sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari who has seen the futility of material karma phalas and wants to know What is that by knowing which I am forever released from this samsara? Has to surrender to the Shastra through a sampradaya with Guru, and the teaching that is given by Vedanta is something which is in the form of a dialogue between a guru and shishyas. So Vedanta also is called Upanishads. In Upanishads, the method of teaching is always in the form of a dialogue. There may be in the entire Upanishad, there may be one guru and one shishya, like we saw in Mundakopanishad. Angiras was the guru, Shaunaka was the shishya throughout. In Kathopanishad, we saw Yamadharmaraja was the guru, Nachiketas was the shishya. We saw that. There are certain Upanishads like Chandogya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where there are many gurus, many shishyas. There are Upanishads like Prashnopanishad, where there is one guru and 6 shishyas, different shishyas. So the number of gurus and the number of shishyas may vary. There are certain Upanishads where the name of the guru and name of the shishya are not known, but the way it is in the form of dialogue, a question and answer, we know that it is some unnamed guru with an unnamed shishya. Like that, always the Upanishads are in a dialogue form. The guru and shishya may be named or they may not be named, but we always see that it's in a dialogue form. Same thing in Bhagavad Gita also. It was one guru, Lord Krishna, and one shishya, Arjuna. So this way, the Upanishadic teaching is always in the form of a dialogue between the guru and shishya. And in this dialogue, the shishya is like us. He has avidya, he has a mistaken notion about himself or herself and everything else. At the same time, this shishya is prepared for this knowledge. The shishya is a moksha purusharthi. Vyavasayatmika buddhi has taken place. This shishya has decided that moksha now is my goal. Moksha purushartha nishchaya. We saw that in where? Mohamudgara. Mohamudgara, we saw that. Isn't it? Bhajagovindam. What was that? Be a moksha purusharthi. Purushartha nishchaya, please go ahead and do it. Hey human being, mudhamate, he says, decide what you want. You want to be forever in this samsara, working for trivial punya phalas, coming and going? Or are you interested in once and for all transcending this temporary punya and papa coming again, sukha, dukkha, coming back again and again? Are you really interested in getting out of this cycle of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam? Then decide what you want. Once for all, make a decision. Purushartha nishchaya. Bhaja Govindam. Choose Govinda. Choose that Brahman as your Purushartha goal. There we started. Here also, before we come to the Upanishads, I should be a Moksha Purusharthi. I should have sufficient preparation for this knowledge. I have to approach the Guru. I have to study the the Vedanta in a proper fashion. I can't start the study of Vedanta with Mandukya Upanishad or Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. No. I have to start with simple Prakarana Granthas. I have to start with Bhagavad Gita. I have to start, then go step by step by step. I have to go up to more difficult Granthas. And after sufficient amount of time spending in the Mula Granthas, I have to learn to go to the bhashyas. I have to study the bhashyas. The Prasthanatrayas, Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, I have to go to all of them. It is not simultaneous. It is something that I have to go step by step by step by step. It is a matter of time. I have to be willing to give sufficient time. It's not one lifetime study. It is something which goes on and on. We might have probably done enough of karma upasana in our previous janmas. We all might have exposed ourselves also to Vedanta. That's why here in this life we are back again with it. Because Lord Krishna promised us in Bhagavad Gita, even if we have started this journey of walking on the path of moksha as a moksha purusharthi, even if you don't escape from this samsara in this life, don't worry. You will come back again. When you come back, all your papa karmas will be at hold. You will come back into this human life in an appropriate condition, and you will have the buddhi samyoga to where you had left earlier, and you will be able to pursue. And it is Ishvara's responsibility to find a guru for us, to bring us to the guru, or bring the guru to ourselves. It is Ishvara's responsibility. It is the spiritual punya that I have gained by karma yoga and upasana yoga, not expecting any kind of material benefits, but nishkamataya, when I have done the Veda Purva Karma Upasana as Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga, the spiritual punya that I have gathered gives me the samyoga with the Guru and also exposure to the Shastra so that I can pursue this. And what is the meaning of this Upanishad? Upanishad, Upa, Ni, and Shad. There are three words here. Actually, it is Sad, Upa, Ni, and Sad. That Sad becomes Shad. That we don't have to worry how it becomes that. There are certain grammatical rules. So there are two prefixes for this word Sad, Upa and Ni. And I have already explained this in the previous two Upanishads that I have taken. Upa means that which is the closest to me, which is the innermost, which is me myself. Ni means nishchaya jnanam. Shad means by which my samsara is completely destroyed. The knowledge, nishchaya jnanam, of that which is myself, which is closest to myself, by which this nishchaya jnanena visharanam of my samsara, complete dissolution of my samsara. That is the ultimate meaning of Upanishad. Of course, it's also said sitting at the feet of the Guru and learning about this Brahman. Bhagwan Shankaracharya defines Upanishad also as rahasyam, that which is to be given only for a prepared intellect, rahasyam. That's why in Bhagavad Gita we have Rajaguhya, Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam. Idam te guhyatamam. He says, this guhyatamam, this most secret vidya, hey Arjuna, I have given you. Okay? Why is it called a secret? Because when you approach a guru, the guru may understand, will understand whether you are fit to receive this knowledge or not. And if you are fit to this knowledge, for this knowledge, the guru will reveal this. And also in the way you will understand. If the guru realizes that you are not fit for this knowledge, the guru will make you go into karma and upasana again. He will ask you, he or she will ask you to strengthen your karma, strengthen your upasana, so that your chitta shuddhi and chitta naishalyam are got. So don't think Veda Purva, karma and upasana are not needed. No. They are stepping stones for giving me yogyata for getting into the Upanishads. So ultimately, it is the Nishchaya Jnanam, Nishchaya Jnanam, about myself, Upa, that which is closest to myself, because of which there is a Shad Visharanam of my samsara, once and for all together. This is the basic knowledge of what I wanted to talk about the Upanishad itself. This is a basic introduction to the Upanishads. And this time we'll be taking an Upanishad called as Kaivalya Upanishad. Kaivalya Upanishad is called as a Laghu Upanishad. In English, it is called as a minor Upanishad. But let me tell you, there's nothing called as major and minor. That which is given, that which is the Tatparyam of Kaivalya Upanishad is the same Tatparyam that you get in Mandukya Upanishad also, Taittiriya Upanishad also, everywhere. And the Tatparyam of every Upanishad is what? Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Satyam, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. I am that, the consciousness is that Brahman. Brahman is everything, Ekameva Advitiya. I am not different or separate from that Brahman. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha iti. This is the central teaching of all the Upanishads, entire Vedanta. But that teaching is given in different ways, in the form of stories in some Upanishads, in the form of various forms of imageries in certain Upanishads, like we saw Ratha Kalpana in, and in Kathopanishad. We saw the archery imagery in Mundaka Upanishad. We saw the Dvasuparna, the two birds imagery. Like that, there are various forms of communication of this Upanishads, but the ultimate Tatparyam of every Upanishad is nothing but Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. And the topic of the Upanishads is not available for Pratyaksha Pramana. It is not available for the regular pramanas like our sense organs. Therefore, Upanishads are the only instruments of knowledge. Upanishads are the only way in which this knowledge can be had. And Kaivalya Upanishad belongs to the Atharvana Veda. We have already seen Atharvana Veda Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, we have already seen Atharvana. This is also an Atharvana Veda Upanishad. And it is called a minor Upanishad because Bhagwan Shankaracharya or other major acharyas like Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya, they have not written a bhashya or commentary on this Upanishad. So when you say major or minor, those Upanishads on which Bhagwan Shankaracharya has written the bhashyas, those 10 Upanishads, they are called as the major Upanishads because we have elaborate commentaries written by Bhagwan Shankaracharya. Other Upanishads, there are so many other Upanishads. We have now, right now, about 108 which are available to us. And rest of the Upanishads, where there is no, actual bhashya or commentary written by Shankaracharya. But other acharyas, many other acharyas have written commentaries upon these smaller Upanishads. Therefore, they are called as Laghu Upanishads. It is not the size. Of course, they are small Upanishads. There are many other small Upanishads, minor Upanishad. This is a small Upanishad. Just about 29 or 30 verses are there in this. It is a small Upanishad, no doubt. But it is something which gives us the same Tatparya, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, like any other Upanishad. And in this Upanishad, Kaivalya Upanishad, which has about 31 verses, of course, it is very nice to chant also. Sometimes it is in the form of prose, like Atharvana Veda Upanishad. Some of the some portions are in the form of whatever you call the verses. And this is a dialogue between the Shishya called as Ashvalayana Rishi and the Guru called as Chaturmukha Brahma or Parameshti. So you can imagine, Ashvalayana is a very, very famous Rishi of Rigveda. He has written so many sutras, so many suktas. Sutras are in the name of Ashvalayana Rishi. He's not written it, but there are so many suktas in the name of Ashvalayana Rishi. As he is a teacher of Rigveda, he has taught Rigveda. He is one of the important teachers of Rigveda. And who is he? He has come as a student, as a Shishya. That's why it is said in our Upanishads, in our scriptures, there is no question of anybody feeling inferior to go and learn this. Even a rishi like Ashvalayana Rishi, who is a teacher, who is an acharya of Rigveda, goes to Chaturmukha Brahman, surrenders to Chaturmukha Brahman in a proper vidhivat way, and then asks for this knowledge. So, Kaivalya Upanishad, Atharvana Veda Upanishad, is a dialogue between Parameshti Chaturmukha Brahmaji, and Ashvalayana Rishi, a Rigveda Rishi, a Rishi who has taught Rigveda mantras to his students. So you may wonder why such a Rishi who is a master, who has mastery over Rigveda, should go as a Shisha and ask for this knowledge. So we'll see what it is next time. And then we'll also go through the Shanti Patha, which is again Bhadram Karnebi, which we have already seen in detail in Mundakopanishad. But we have to chant that, and I have to again give you the explanation of what is the meaning of that Shanti Patha. So in the next session, we'll just have a brief summary of what this Upanishad is. We'll chant the Shanti Patha, we'll see the meaning of the Shanti Patha, and directly go to the Upanishad itself. Om Nandantu Sadhaka Sarve Vinashyantu Vidushakaha Avastha Shambhavi Mestu Prasannostu Guru Sada Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkham Apnuyat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat.